For quite a few years now, special tools have been employed to bring cutting-edge capabilities to software audio editors. FFT, fast Fourier transforms, spectral processing, AI, and machine learning have been put to work to provide the kind of audio tools that were unimaginable not too many years ago. The latest development in this area is the ability to isolate individual components of a finished mix. This has been sort of a holy grail for many in the audio industry. The ability to get at individual tracks, even individual notes, in a finished stereo mix or master, and make edits at that level for corrective or creative purposes, is now possible, at least to some degree, thanks to tools like RipX. The use of FFT, fast Fourier transform, allows audio to be analyzed for the individual harmonics and overtones of notes. This, combined with AI and machine learning, are applied to separate an audio recording into its individual notes and present those notes for editing in a piano roll display like musicians are used to from working with MIDI tracks in their DAWs, allowing both the time and pitch of an audio recording to be changed independently. Earlier implementations only worked on monophonic audio tracks, but eventually it became possible to even isolate notes in a polyphonic track of a single instrument. The next step was to separate different instruments that have already been combined in a single finished stereo mix. This proved to be a more elusive task, but over the years, with the application of AI, it also became possible, and that's where RipX comes in. RipX combines the ability to isolate individual tracks in a finished mix with the ability to edit and process those separate tracks, along with full editing and processing of individual notes in the tracks. This makes RipX a combination of an audio editor and a creative musical tool. Individual tracks and notes can be tweaked for technical adjustments like correcting timing and pitch or changing tempo and key, and creative applications include individual tracks that can be rebalanced, remixed to some degree, and reused in different songs and arrangements. But of course, there are a couple of caveats with any new technology, and with this technology, there are two things to consider. First, these are cutting-edge tools, and while they're capable of some amazing things, the ability to separate and extract individual tracks in a full mix is still developing. The tech is not yet at the point where every note of every track in a big, busy musical arrangement can be isolated perfectly. There are still some limitations. Drums, bass, and vocals can usually be isolated, though depending on the mix, especially the number of tracks and the amount of processing, like compression and reverb, there may be slight audible artifacts when an extracted track, like a vocal, is soloed. But in context of the full mix, or a remix, these issues have become relatively minor in most cases. The quality of isolated, ripped audio is better than ever, and continues to improve at a rapid rate. Other instruments are typically a little more difficult to isolate. Most software doesn't even try to separate multiple guitar and keyboard tracks in a mix, lumping them together in one big track, often labeled Other. RipX is pretty cutting edge in this regard. While it can't always perfectly isolate similar guitar or keyboard tracks in a full mix, it sometimes is able to separate them, often going a step beyond other applications. And the individual note editing in RipX may allow for manual separation of certain elements, like extracting a guitar solo from a rhythm guitar part in an overall guitar track. Fortunately, this capability continues to improve, and as long as the current limitations of the underlying technology are understood, RipX can provide an unheard-of degree of control over the components of a full mix. The other caveat is a legal one. Just like artists who incorporate samples of previous mixes into their musical arrangements, creative producers who use RipX to isolate and extract individual elements of a full mix must be sure to get legal clearance to use those tracks in their own music. This is the responsibility of the end user, and Hit and Mix makes it clear that users of the software must clear any audio material they extract, whether a snippet of a full mix, a beat, a vocal, or even just a few notes of a part extracted from another song, if they release their music to the public in any form. Okay, so with that brief overview of the technology and reminder of the need for clearance out of the way, let's get into RipX. The next video will go over the 3 modules that make up the full version of the RipX application: DeepRemix, DeepCreate, and DeepAudio.